Welcome back to Advance Wars 2. Where we last left off, we had almost finished the Blue Moon campaign. Just one more mission for Colin, and we're at the final battle. So, yeah, and this one is going to be a bit of a defense mission, as you'll probably tell. Yep, we've got a day limit mentioned, so yeah, this is another one of those hold the line for a certain number of turns. And... And yes, Grid is completely genre savvy here and does not trust the, oh, you're completely safe intel, because obviously this wouldn't be a mission if you didn't get attacked immediately. And forgive the glitchy sprite there, it's a fault of my emulator. And obviously, you know, they say the intel says you're completely safe. Obviously you are going to get attacked. Yeah, good one on Grid for calling that. But anyway, this is 2-week test, Colin's second mission in the Blue Moon campaign. And this one is very, very interesting. Of course, we're up against Lash again. She is pretty much the main antagonist of Blue Moon, so we're pretty much used to fighting her by now. Colin's still nervous, but anyway. Yeah, capture. Now, this is interesting because that's actually the main goal of this mission. You'll see there Colin mentions that we just need to protect the HQ for 14 days. You'll also notice there that Lash has a massive property advantage on you. That is completely intentional. You are very, very outmatched here. But anyway, like I was saying, you might realize that Colin just mentioned that we just need to protect the HQ. We just need to protect the HQ, and as you can see, Lash is already building transports right from the beginning. Yeah, you just need to protect the HQ. I need to stop getting distracted. That is the vital point of this mission. This mission is very interesting in terms of victory conditions, I mean, as far as they go. Because the goal here is to protect the headquarters for 14 days. Protect the headquarters. That is all that you need to protect. Interesting thing here is, you can be completely wiped out, and for some reason she's putting her transport on the HQ instead of actually using it. Weird. The AI at this game is really, really weird sometimes. Anyway, stop getting distracted. Anyway, you just need to protect the HQ for 14 days. You can be completely wiped out here, and you won't lose. You can be wiped out to the last man, and the mission will still keep going. In fact, if you're at the last day, you'll still win, provided the headquarters are still intact. So, this is very interesting. Because of that, this mission is incredibly easy to finish normally. That is, to finish normally. Getting an S rank is another matter entirely, and I am going for S ranks here. As you can see, Lash's territory far outmatches you. It's only the third day and she already has medium tanks. Yeah, that is very, very dangerous. You are very, very outmatched here. The scenario does not even attempt to hide this. And, yeah, you're really on the back foot because you even have to capture a bunch of bases that are just close to your main area. And not even all the cities here are under your control. And if you don't do anything about it, Lash is going to push out and start grabbing the cities closest to you. And you really need to make sure this does not happen. Now, should I get mechs now, or should I just go for the infantry flood? We really need to capture as much as we possibly can here, because we need to at least just recoup as much as a very slight property advantage as we can. It helps that we're using Colin here, because he, if you remember from previously, he has cheap units all around, so not having that many bases is kind of helpful to him. Lash is already getting battlecopters. This really isn't good. Yeah, this mission can be extremely intimidating at first glance. And yeah, it's almost like you're put in the same position as Colin. Colin is legitimately terrified here, and a new player starting with this mission probably will be. The main thing here is, like Colin, don't panic. Things may look very, very bad to start out with. As you can see there, Lash has a 10,000 income lead on us. But things will get better, trust me. Now, you will have to take the first move and go on the offense, lest she start going after your infantry before you have your territory fully set up. Because, well, she's actually going to go after my infantry pretty much anyway. But, Anyway, this here is a defensive mission pure and simple, and as a result, indirect units are the key here. Indirect units and also tanks. You will want some tanks, mostly to counter Lash's tanks, but also to act as cheap meat shields between them and your capturing infantry and your indirect units. The main strategy here is to form a kind of a blockade around the very small bit of land in between her massive territory and your tiny one, and put your indirect units in the back, hammer them with indirect fire as your cheap disposable tanks block them from getting to your indirect units. And wow, those guys actually took off 1 hit point of that tank. Amazing. Unfortunately, things are about to get bad because those battle copters are getting hit. Now, in this mission, like I was saying, you want indirect units. You also want anti-airs. You really will be needing as many anti-airs as possible. Now, you'll notice that Lash already has rockets. You don't have to worry that much about rockets because, as you can see here, there are a lot of planes in between you and her, and rockets get slowed down horribly on planes. What you really need to worry about, though, is Lash's air units. She has an airport right off the bat. This is very bad, as you can plainly see. She has an airport right off the bat. And of course, that whole blockading strategy and attacking with indirect units is useless if she manages to slip bombers or helicopters through your defenses. And trust me, she will be slipping bombers through your defenses. Trust me on this. As a result, you want anti-airs as well, because she is going to be sending lots of helicopters and bombers after you eventually. As you can see, her income is now ridiculously massive. She will be sending bombers and neo-tanks after you, and wow, she is extremely cocky here. She is going after a tank with an anti-air unit. If you remember from earlier parts, anti-air units are normally horribly weak against tanks, but she feels confident enough. Then, of course, Colin's units are 10% weaker than normal. He can churn them out pretty cheaply, and he has some nice powers on his side. Speaking of powers, mine is barely filled yet. Believe me, it'll start filling soon. As you can see, Lash already has a Neo-Tank ready. Yeah, this is why you want your anti-air units ready as much as possible. Hopefully, those infantry will be done capturing that city, and oh, if they take 1 point of damage more, I will not be able to capture that city next turn. This is bad. Choke pointing. Choke pointing is a real skill here. It might sound like I was segueing here, but like I said, choke pointing is a real skill that you need to do here. If you played Fire Emblem, you will know all about choke pointing, and here you really kind of need to do that. The difference between this and Fire Emblem, obviously, is that here you have expendable units that can choke point. I mean, you want to be a little bit careful though, because if you lose a vital unit and everyone just rushes into you and kills everything, that's not good. Speaking of rushing in and killing everything, if that happens, like I said, normally, well, we're already halfway there. Anyway, the battle has not got pretty intense yet, but it will, trust me. And I honestly should have seriously sent my anti-air unit forward. Yeah, those guys are dead. Sorry, guys. That was on me. I probably should have put my anti-air unit a little bit forward. I kind of wanted to conserve it for the incoming helicopter rush, but still. As you can see, Lash is getting very close. She has lots of infantry, and Colin's going to point out that we're over halfway. Anyway, she has lots of infantry ready to capitalize on any gaps in our defensive lines to rush in and capture as much of our stuff as possible. Don't let her take this opportunity. You are already massively on the back foot when it comes to territory here. You don't want to give Lash any more of an advantage. Yeah, now like I was saying here, this mission is very easy if you're playing it normally. Normally, you don't even have to worry about if your force is totally wiped out. If she just breaks through your lines, rushes in and kills your entire army, you're fine, so long as she doesn't actually capture your headquarters, which happens very rarely due to how weird her AI is. However, if you're going for the S rank, things are a bit worse. Now, I could sacrifice that anti-air to take out the infantry capturing, but I won't. Reason being, obviously, yeah, due to the technique ranking, we have to be a little less expendable with our units here. Again, very glad that we've got Colin for this and his cheap all-round units. Very important. Colin's cheap prices, just so helpful here. In a pinch, APCs can act as cheap meat shields, but again, watch your technique rating. Technique is probably the main area you'll have trouble with on this mission. You might be wondering about speed. Well, oh, they're already going for those properties. That is bad. I'm going to have to... And she has a bomber! Even worse. And she has this. Now, I believe, yeah, due to Colin's weak defenses, those things can pretty much kill Colin's infantry in one shot. That's actually very bad. Again, APCs is cheap meat shields, unless they get hit by medium tanks, in which case they are horribly, horribly dead. Again, those rockets, I'm getting a little nervous about those rockets, but hopefully things won't be too bad with them. Again, those woods and, not to mention mountains, but also plains are going to massively slow them down. The problem here is, do we go for the infantry that's trying to take our property, or do we go for that medium tank? I reckon we should hammer that medium tank as much as possible, but hammering this infantry is a good bet too, because like I said, you need all the funds you can get. You really do not want to give Lash an inch here, because if you do, she will take everything, and like she bragged about, and you don't want to do that, because that way you will be really on the back foot, and you will not be able to do this. Because in order to get the S rank, you are actually going to have to go on the offense eventually. Don't worry about that now, though. That comes much, much later. Much later. Things get a little better. Once her initial wave of attacks is dealt with, things will be a little better, and you might be able to go on the offense a tiny bit, and even take back some of her territory. That is pretty much required if you're going for the power ranking here. That medium tank is pretty much useless now, so that's good. Anyway, always watch your enemy's power gauge, like I've said earlier in this playthrough. Watch your enemy's power gauge as much as possible. Speaking of power gauges, I already have my normal power. If I use this now, maybe I could get some more expensive units. Colin's normal power, for those of you who don't remember, multiplies your money by 1.5 times. I can already get medium tanks. I wonder if I could get Neos if I use the normal. Don't underestimate Colin's normal power. It is very quick to charge up, and it can really save you in the right situations. Of course, Colin's superpower is pretty darn awesome, but it takes a lot longer to charge, and by that time Lash is definitely going to have her super. Anyway, we're getting some more tanks here, because I think we need some more meat shields. As hard as it is to say, tanks are pretty much your best bet when it comes to meat shields at this point, because rockets, bad. Again, you want to pull back and defend these cities as much as you can, because with Colin's troops having weaker defenses, and this is what I was warning you about, with the bombers slipping through your defenses and hitting those indirect units, that's bad. With Colin's units having as low defenses as they can, defensive cover is a must to keep you at least on the advantage. At least, you know, slightly. I mean, not so much advantage, it's more like evening the odds just a tiny bit, and as you can see there, Lash just broke a little bit of my lines, and now her infantry have come in and are starting to take my properties. I am not going to let this happen. Unfortunately, we have a bomber in our lines, and a battlecopter, which is really not good. This may look very bad, but trust me, Past Me has the situation completely under control. I should just remind you that I have actually recorded this entire game many years in advance. I recorded this ages ago. But anyway, 78%. Now that could kill if I'm lucky. It might be able to, so I'm going to go for it. Does it will do it? Yes, and it did do it. Good. That's one less infantry we need to worry about. The real one I want to worry about is that one that's capturing my properties. But first, I want to hit that bomber and hit it hard. That thing seriously needs to go. Now, with that bomber weakened considerably, I reckon no use shooting that 1 HP infantry. My infantry's got that completely covered. So, this mission almost feels like a bit of a slight tug of war. During the enemy's turn, it looks like they have a massive advantage, but don't worry, during your turn, you probably, if you have the right spread of units, will be able to tip the scales back in your favour. If you have the right spread of units, and that is a big if. Okay, I reckon I should actually take out that infantry, because this bomber is nothing much to be worried about with only 3 HP, and damaging it any further would seriously add to Lash's power meter, which is not good. Even though her powers are not exactly the best in this map. Anyway, Colin's anti-airs are still strong enough to one-shot a full unit of copters, which is at least very good. Helicopters are complete and total glass cannons. They cannot take any punishment, especially from anti-air units. but they are extremely versatile, so you'll need to watch out for that. Now, I hope I'm within the minimum range of those rockets, because if they can shoot me, that is bad. I am going to get hit by a tank, but that's probably fine. Now, you go, and now that you're gone, I don't need to worry about that infantry behind you joining up with you and continuing the capture attempt. Yeah, once you kill an infantry unit that's capturing a city, the city's capture value resets again, so... Wow, my power meter is coming along quite nicely, which of course means so is hers, and that's what I'm a little worried about. Again, though, the terrain is pretty open here, so Lash's powers aren't that helpful. All they'll do is just give her 2-star defense on planes instead of 1-star. As long as you don't let her infantry get on the mountains, though, because that way, yeah, Lash uses her superpower, her infantry on mountains are just about invincible. Just to recap, Lash's superpower doubles the effects of all defensive cover, and Lash gets attack bonuses from defensive cover as well as defense bonuses, so that can lead to things being really devastating. Especially, like I said, infantry or, heaven forbid, mechs on mountains. Yikes, those things are pretty insane. They get the equivalent of like 8-star defense, so... And yeah, that bomber is nothing much to worry about now. And you are challenging your anti-air with, my anti-air with yours. And see, due to my defense bonuses, we actually end up being even there, which is quite nice. Oh dear, sorry tank, you're gonna take a really big hit here. Oh, hate it when that happens. Oh, that last guy left on 1 HP. Always feel sorry for him. Anyway, Lash is pulling back. Oh no, 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 ah! Always embarrassing when your tanks get finished off by an infantry squad like that. Ugh. But as you can see here, apart from those rockets, things are looking a bit more up for me. She is trying to take my cities, but she's kind of failing miserably. So, anyway, speaking of rockets, I have mine, and I probably want to take out, actually no, I'm going to artillery that anti-air. Like I said, indirect is the name of the game here. Now that things have progressed quite a fair bit, I should probably mention, something I wanted to talk about with this mission. And that thing is, why I did the lab mission before this one. Now, I probably pointed this out back when I was doing the lab, but anyway, completing the lab obviously gives you, I have my superpower, but I'm not going to use it just yet, because I want to make the most benefit out of it. Completing the lab gives you the ability to build Neo-Tanks. Now, the reason why I mainly did that before this mission is because this mission is the only mission in the second batch of Blue Moon missions that is not a pre-deploy one. This is in fact the only mission in the second batch of Blue Moon missions where you actually have production facilities, meaning that the factory does not benefit you at all in both Olaf and Grit's second Blue Moon missions. Grit's second one, again, was Nature Walk or pre-deploy, and Olaf's, the missile silo one, was also pre-deploy, so... there was absolutely no benefit to, this infantry is pretty much going to die, but I really want to take out this anti-air, just... I was about to say for a slight boost on the power rating, but the power rating only really goes up if you make a conscious effort to... No, wait! That's why I took out that anti-air, so I could get my tanks to the rockets. With these rockets heavily damaged like this, things are really starting to look up for me now. Those rockets, okay, Lash does have a Neo-Tank back at base. Those rockets were really what I was worried about, and as you can see here, things have really started to clear out. I pretty much well and truly repelled the initial attack, and I might be able to start going on the offense soon. And that is what I need to do for the power rating. I need to make sure that I have a good stock of units on me, use my superpower, and then go for as many kills as possible for the power score. Because just to recap, the power score is in fact based on the maximum number of kills you make in a single turn. Speaking of kills though, Lash is about to use her super. It's probably not going to be that helpful, like I was saying. Prime Tactics. Sorry, I always like to give ominous voiceovers to all those power things. It just kind of fits with the atmosphere. Not so much atmosphere, but the epic, almost like an attack subtitle they're given. And that's gonna hurt. Yeah, as you can see, planes are now providing 2-star defense for Lash. Seriously? You're still trying to do that? Yeah, that is gonna repair me back up to full strength next turn, so I'm not even worried. You, on the other hand, are gonna die, but you did your job well. You will be remembered as heroes for destroying that tank, because honestly, not tank rocket, but Speaking of tank, looks like I'm not going to recoup my losses of this infantry squad next turn. Yeah. And speaking of tank, this might hurt a bit. Oh, yeah. Curse those defense boosts she gets from her power. And she is repairing her medium tank, but that's probably not going to be in action until the mission is basically over. So anyway, right now it is probably time for me to go on the offensive. So, here we go! Time to show you what money can do. I forgot how much money I actually had though. Power of money! I seriously love Colin's super. This is one of my favourite superpowers in the game. I may have already said this just because there are so many hilarious things you can do with this. Like, with enough money, infantry can one-shot mega tanks. Of course, mega tanks don't exist in this game, but you get the point. Seriously, I have seen Colin's infantry one-shot mega tanks with enough money. It is ridiculous. It's just so awesome, and it's really... You might notice that I am doing ridiculously pitiful damage to that infantry unit, of course. That's due to Lash's superpower, giving her double defensive bonuses, so that infantry is in 6-star cover. Yeah, you want to watch out for that, like I was saying before. Speaking of like I was saying before, I have this... Oh, that's what I was saying, about the lab, why I cleared the lab before this one. The reason is Colin really benefits more than anyone else in Blue Moon from the ability to produce Neo tanks, and there you can see the 6-star cover that she's got. Because Colin gets them really cheaply, and the firepower disadvantage that Colin has doesn't really affect them when you're already as strong as Neo tanks. So yeah, he can make his Neo tanks early and then just rush them with superpowered Neo tanks. Always awesome, that, and this is probably the only time when you actually get a chance to use that. Annoyingly though, and that did a lot better than I thought. Annoyingly though, not annoyingly though, but it turns out that I didn't really need to use any in this mission. This mission more calls for indirect units, so Neo tanks actually aren't that helpful. They might be helpful in the final mission of the Blue Moon campaign, because that is of course not a pre-deploy, but as things stand, not really using Neo tanks here. You can see them on the buy menu, but I'm not really going to be using them here. Rest assured though, in War Room, Colin really does like the ability to use Neo tanks. Really, really. So, I've pretty much said just about everything I want to say about this one. Lash still has a ridiculously high income, but we are starting to push out of our small area and into her territory. You actually do need to do this a little if you want her S rank. If you want to S rank this mission. So, yeah. Again, not that much else to say here. Except for we're almost done here, just a few days left. Speaking of a few days left, I finally... wow, I was really worried if I wouldn't have any more things to say for the rest of this mission. I thought of one. The speed ranking. You might be wondering about the speed ranking. Because... Ooh, ouch, that was bad. You might be wondering about the speed ranking, because you basically have to wait out the turn limit here. This is not like Fire Emblem, where in a couple of the survive for X amount of turns missions, you actually can end the mission early by defeating the boss or something. Nothing like that here. So there's no finishing this one early. You will pretty much always take exactly 14 days to clear this one, and because of that, you will always get a perfect score on speed. There is no way you can not get a perfect score for speed here. Again, because you are guaranteed to get, to finish this mission in 14 days, you will always have a perfect score in the speed rank. So no need to worry about speed. What you really need to worry about is power and technique. For power, my only recommendation is, yes, make sure you go on the offense at least once. For technique, just don't let many people die. That's pretty much it. Just, you know, in your meat shielding it can be kind of hard, you kind of got to use expendable units sometimes, but you've got to remember that every sacrifice needs to have a purpose. If you're going to sacrifice a unit, make sure that it's, again, has a purpose behind it. And see that little artillery unit that I've got left on 1 HP? See, normally you could go, hey, I'm going to go sacrifice this because it's useless to me now. Just to conserve on the technique ranking, I am not going to be doing that because, well, for one, it's just mean, but secondly, it's not going to help my technique rank. I might as well say here that you don't really get that much benefit from Colin's superpower here, because you don't really have that big of an income, and there is not much chance you'll get any more of an income, so you don't really have that much money to make the best use of it unless you just conserve on your funds for several turns and don't purchase units, which admittedly is not that good of an idea here because you're really pressed for reinforcements here and you need to be constantly replenishing your lines, making sure you've got a good wall of units in between you and your headquarters, and yeah, you pretty much need to be creating stuff every single turn. Let's see, rockets or medium tank or artillery or... yeah, I'll go for the rockets. And rockets help you a lot more than they do Lash in this mission, because unlike Lash, you have access to roads and cities which rockets don't get slowed down on. So, yeah. And I am once again running out of things to say here. Bye-bye tank, hopefully. Hopefully that was a meaningful sacrifice here. Now again, I'll just point out to you that I did record these missions years ago, and as a result, I might kind of forget sort of exactly what I was doing at some points. There will be points where Past Me does something that I'm like, wow, you're an idiot! But I didn't really see many in this mission. Aside from maybe being a little too careless with sacrifices, I don't really think Past Me, did that badly here. Okay, one more day left. This is the last day. We have to make this one count. And mostly this will be less in terms of how much we can actually take out, but how many of our units we can actually conserve. Because yeah, we don't want to lose enough technique rank to put us out of S range on the last day. That would be really annoying. Anyway. So yes, all these strategies that I use here, there is definite room for improvement, certainly, and I admit that none of these were perfect, really. Like, I mean, I did get perfect scores on a few missions. I will say right now that I did not perfect this one. You will see my actual rank at the end, but again, room for improvement here. But the main room for improvement here, and I'll probably in all of these, I'm going to have some kind of self-reflection period where I talk about what Past Me did wrong and how you, the viewer, can improve it and learn from my mistakes, is, again, here I feel Past Me was a little too keen to sacrifice things. Maybe if I sacrificed a few less units, things would be a bit better. So there's my advice to all of you who are attempting to follow in my footsteps here, and go for the overall S rank on campaign. As things stand though, I'm in this challenge, I'm not challenge, well I guess it is a challenge because I'm going for S ranking the entire campaign. I just want to get S ranks. I'm not concerned with actual score, I'm more concerned with the ranking themselves, and as long as I get an S rank, I am fine with it. Even if it is a relatively low S, I am still fine with it. So yeah, that's basically all. We're almost done here. Just a couple more moves, and maybe pumping out some infantry just as a cheap way to jack up my technique score. I know, admittedly, it is very cheap, and I believe that in Days of Ruin they actually did fix the way technique was calculated to make it so that you can't do that. But I honestly have not mastered the scoring system in Days of Ruin as well as I have this game. I really don't know how it's really supposed to work. But anyway... oh, yeah, artillery gone. Like I was saying, yeah, maybe a little less sacrifices if you're playing this mission yourself, but all in all, you should really be fine if you just follow my advice, which, I guess, to recap, you'll need to meat shield here, you'll need lots of indirect units, you'll need anti-airs to repulse her waves of helicopters and bombers. You will need to keep your territory advantage, don't give her an inch or she will take everything, just watch out for that. And make sure you don't lose too many units. And just in time, we have reinforcements and Lash is gone. And, yeah, finally Colin gets some recognition. Always heartwarming when he does. But anyway, as you can see here, my score. Speed was guaranteed to be perfect. I perfected power, but I was a little low on the technique ranking. So, yeah, my technique was a little low here, but other than that, pretty solid run, I will admit. So, that's all for this mission. Next time, this is it, the final battle of Blue Moon. And it's gonna be a pretty long one, so I'll see you then.